My team, Ads Developer Relations, is actually in a really unique position to not only be able to see this trend at a high level, but also be able to meet some of the enterprise developers, marketing teams, C-levels, who are actively moving in this direction. It's always fascinating to learn the unique ways that each individual and company we talk with are planning to adopt this AI tooling in the advertising space. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Ads DevCast. I'm your host, Cory Liseno from Google's Ads Developer Relations team, and I'm super excited to have this opportunity to connect with you and discuss areas of focus within the digital advertising space that I'm passionate about, while also being able to shine a light on some of the work that my team and others here at Google are doing to improve your workflows and benefit your business. My goal with this bi-weekly podcast is to engage with you all, our ads technical community. And I'll be doing so by focusing on deep dives into our latest updates, insights from the folks that actually build the tools that you use, and technical discussions with our expert guests. We'll be covering products like Google Ads API, Google Ads Scripts, Google Analytics, Display and Video 360, Data Manager, Meridian, and many others. Ads DevCast is going to be a pilot for the first couple episodes. So I really want your feedback to understand if this is something that you'll get value out of. Please let us know your thoughts. We have a survey for you. It's Google /ADC for Ads DevCast -survey-E1. If you didn't write that down, don't worry. I'll be sure to put all links mentioned here in the episode's description as well. A little background on me. I'm a developer relations engineer. I've been at Google since 2018. I'm passionate about development and technology, but more so about how you leverage development and technology as a whole as a means to achieving real and impactful business goals. I love connecting with our community of developers and technical users, so please reach out to me. I'm on our Discord channel. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to discuss anything about these episodes or any other related topic, so please do feel free to reach out to me. My developer relations team, covering many products like I listed above, we really pride ourselves on being your advocate internally to our engineering and product teams. Your feedback is critical to ensuring that we're able to make sure that our products are built for your needs. So please do give us your feedback. Some of you might also be familiar with Ginny Marvin's excellent new podcast, Ads Decoded. If you're not, I highly recommend checking it out at goo.goal/Ads Decoded. Ginny and her product expert guests do a fantastic job of bridging the gap for marketing teams and advertisers on things like campaign strategy, ecosystem updates, and they really dive deep into what the product is and how to leverage it for your business goals. Ads DevCast, on the other hand, this podcast is specifically for the builders. It's for the technical users. Before I get into today's episode, I just want to give a quick disclaimer that this episode speaks to the trends that my team is seeing in the industry. That being said, it's not a canonical source of where AI or AI usage is heading, but it is grounded in real-world use cases and what we are seeing. So that brings us to today's topic. Today we're talking about the agentic shift in advertising, with some specific focus on our agent extensions and AI tooling like MCP servers that we've released. The industry is talking about Model Context Protocol, or MCP, multi-agent workflows, skills, extensions, and a lot more. Primarily, these tools are being built to help advertisers and developers achieve their goals, but what are those goals really? Well, they might be business-focused goals like increasing ROI on ad spend, or it may be a more technical goal like faster and easier integration between your systems and Google's. It's an open and ever-evolving question, but here's the way I break it down. We're 1, trying to be smarter, 2, trying to be faster, and 3, we're trying to be more accessible. I'm going to go through each of those, but let's start with smarter. Smarter in the sense of integrating all of this new tech and all of the underlying data. It all depends on how we leverage that data analysis. When we think about how LLMs have completely changed how we synthesize data and how we produce meaningful generative content from that, we can see a huge value that this might produce for generative advertising and for advertising analytics. From business questions like, where should I double down on ad spend, to more technical questions like, How can I improve my first-party data ingestion to get a better ROI? We can leverage these advances in AI tooling to help us better understand how to answer those questions, utilizing the mass amounts of data that we have available to us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Google Ads and Google Analytics MCP servers that we have. And for those of you that don't know what an MCP server is, let me break that down quickly. An MCP server is basically a service that facilitates your agent, such as Gemini CLI, to access data. And this is a very general explanation, and it only covers one use case of MCP servers, but it's a good starting point. Agents already have massive capabilities to understand what we're asking and then go look for that information, but the information they need to answer your questions might not be available or easily digestible to them, especially if that information is private or secured information. The MCP server in this case would provide a set of use cases and instructions to follow to allow your agent to access that data. An example might be, what are my active campaigns? Your agent natively has no access to your campaign data in Google Ads. But under the hood, the Google Ads MCP server leverages your Google Ads API through your OAuth credentials to allow the agent a bridge towards that data. So having these within your agent will allow you to ask real relevant questions of your data and get back answers fast. Where do I have the highest conversion rate? What properties have the highest traffic? Normally you'd have to wade through the UI or build a custom reporting solution with an API or use something like Google Ads scripts. One of my colleagues, Matt Landers, actually released some examples on how to use the Analytics MCP server for real-life use cases, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. With this MCP server loaded, he shows you how you can ask your agent questions like, how many users visited my properties yesterday? Or, what are my top-selling products over the last month? It's really pretty amazing to see the speed at which this data is pulled out and then utilized for something real world. But the real magic comes in when he tells Gemini to use that data in Analytics to generate him a marketing plan. It actually pulls back the data from Analytics, generates a set of campaigns, some budgeting plans, and even gives you the reports that it pulled from Analytics to justify the decisions that it made. As with any agent, results aren't perfect, and we still need someone to prepare meaningful context for the agent to make better decisions. And we still need someone at the end to review the output and make sure that it's taking into account all the factors of your business that your agent can't account for. If we take a step back, though, and consider the human effort this would have taken as a progress bar, there's an amount of work that I would need to do in order to get things moving in the right direction and even to understand what questions that I want to ask. There's also a level of control I'm going to need in the ultimate decisions and deliverables made at the end, not to mention some perfectionist tweaking, but that space in between, that 40, 50, 60% of reporting, data analysis, all of that, that was done for him. That's a huge win. Now let's take a look at our second goal, speed, specifically from the technical perspective for developers who are writing these API and SDK integrations across their advertising platforms. A main goal is to decrease adoption time for new features by speeding up the development process. This could be both in terms of speeding up the actual code generation time, but also in making that development process easier by reducing friction and increasing understanding. You can use our co-development tooling to make Gemini CLI more useful for the developer against our APIs and or agentic IDEs like Anti-Gravity. A couple months ago, we released the Google Ads API Developer Assistant. This is a Gemini CLI extension that allows you to use natural language to generate and debug integration code against our API, against the Google Ads API. It even allows you to test run your generated code right in Gemini CLI. This can greatly improve the developer workflows by reducing the time needed to churn through documentation when you're implementing a new feature or running into errors, or even allowing Gemini to take a swing at writing that code the first time for you, and then utilizing pieces of its solutions that best meet your needs. There was an example that I posted on LinkedIn recently. We actually tested this assistant against a real-world support case that a developer submitted to us. The user was trying to report on the policy reasons that an asset, ad, or keyword wasn't approved for. They even gave some examples of the queries they've already tried. Pasting their exact message that they sent to support into Gemini CLI, I asked the assistant the same question they asked of our support team. The assistant was not only able to actually solve the reporting issue in minutes compared to days that an email support case may take, but it also took each query that the user tried and it gave them a reason why that query didn't work. Then it wrote the code needed to run that correct query against the API. And you can actually run it right there in the CLI. If I kept going, as the user who needed this information, I could have also asked the assistant to run it for me and analyze the returned data. I could have asked it to suggest changes to my account based on the data that was returned, and use that as a plan of action to solve the policy issues. You can continue to pull the thread and see the value in what these tools can provide in your workflows, but it's pretty obvious that as a developer, having these assistants plugged in can make a world of difference. The third goal I wanted to talk about is accessibility. This comes in a few forms. One major accessibility improvement, though, through AI tooling, is in digesting documentation to make it better for the development experience. If you know Gackle or Google Ads query language, that's great. But if you don't need to be an expert. You can just use natural language to explain what you're looking for, and your agent can create the right query for you, or series of queries for you, and either get you the data that you need or provide the code that you need to get that data. Previously, this may have taken a ton of time to research. You would look through all of our documentation pages, you would try to understand what the product was doing, how to do that in the API, not to mention lost time and context switching from writing your business logic into code versus researching and digesting documentation. In terms of accessibility, aside from documentation, there's also an interesting shift that we're seeing in the industry. Early in this podcast, I talked about the ads technical community. This is a deviation from what we've said in the past. We usually talk about our ads developer community. With the proliferation of AI tooling and connectivity to APIs, it's not just developers today who are technical users of our products. We're seeing marketing power users who may have worked with some scripting in the past, now leveraging our MCP servers, like those with analytics and Google Ads, to perform meaningful operations in real time. This means they don't have to go through the development lifecycle to get a feature added to their internal platforms in order to do their job. It also allows them to iterate more quickly and perform their reporting and automation needs. This also has the added benefit of freeing up developer teams at these companies to focus on larger and more impactful projects instead of writing simple reports or small feature adoptions. I'm sure every company out there has a backlog of blue sky, we'll get to it someday functionality that they want to implement in their platform, but their developers have no time. Tools like this can allow development teams the additional bandwidth they need to do so. My team, Ads Developer Relations, is actually in a really unique position to not only be able to see this trend at a high level, but also be able to meet some of the enterprise developers, marketing teams, C-levels, who are actively moving in this direction. It's always fascinating to learn the unique ways that each individual and company we talk with are planning to adopt this AI tooling in the advertising space. Shameless plug, join our Discord, talk to me and my team about it there. We would love to hear how you are planning to adopt AI, how you are planning to adopt agentic use cases in your technical advertising landscape. It's not just Google. We're seeing the rollout of MCPs, agents, A2A services, etc. across the industry. It's a sign that the landscape is moving towards a world where agents, not just humans, are primary consumers of our API. We need to make sure that we stay on the cutting edge of these technologies as they come out to understand where they and we fit together. At Google, we've been iterating fast on our own AI and agentic tools like Google Ads API Developer Assistant and the MCP servers that I mentioned before. But looking ahead, we're also staying up on the latest technologies as they evolve, exploring things like agent skills, A2A or agent-to-agent use cases, and others. I imagine a world where my own marketing agent can interact directly with Google's and others' offerings, services, and data to optimize budgets across channels, generate campaign proposals based on real-time data from Google Analytics, and otherwise shift from traditional UI account management towards accessible, seamless, and data-driven integrations. Okay, survey time. Have you used the AI tools I mentioned in this episode? Or do you think you will now? And what are the biggest agentic and AI unmet needs that you have within our Google advertising ecosystem? Please take a minute to let us know your thoughts. The survey again is Google/ADC-survey-E1. It'll really help us understand where to dedicate our efforts for your needs. So at the end of each of these episodes going forward, I'm going to discuss the results from surveys that I've posted in the community. I posted a question this past week on our Discord and our LinkedIn communities, and the questions were 2 questions. What questions do you have for us about the AI and agentic strategy for our ads products? And also, what is the AI and agentic strategy that you have for your ads products? We had quite a few responses, so thank you. Really appreciate it. Hoping to get even more this next round, but I'm just going to pick 2 of them this time. First question is, do I need to actually be a developer to make use of things like your MCP servers? It's a good question, and I touched on it earlier. You don't have to be a developer to utilize the value that the MCP servers can bring. There may be some upfront development effort, there may be some upfront technical effort, but really, the MCP servers are a natural language to data processing platform. They allow the agent to intake your natural language requests and do all of that critical thinking based on the data that your MCP server is providing to get back real answers for you. So if you're not a developer, but you might be a technical user and you're interested in trying out the MCP server, please go try it out. It would be a great use case for us to understand how it works for you, how it doesn't work for you, what additional features that you would need from it. So please go try it out and let us know. Another question that we got was, what's the best way to stay up to date on Google's advertising AI offerings? And this is a great question as well. We have a couple different places you can stay up to date with us. One being this podcast. We also have our blog, and I'll make sure I put that in the description. We have our dev site. We have our marketing pages. We also have a bunch of other product pages. I will make sure to put all of those up as links from this episode. Highly recommended that you stay up on our blogs, the Google Ads blog, but also the developer blog, as those are primary places to ingest a lot of this information. Additionally, on LinkedIn, you could follow me, or you could follow some of the other folks like Jenny Marvin, or the Google Ads official page. Those are great places to get up-to-date snippets of what's going on as we release things or as we hear about things in the community. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Please take a moment to do our survey. Again, goo.goal/ADC-survey-E1. Subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to our YouTube, follow on Discord, follow me on LinkedIn. Very much looking forward to getting a chance to chat with you going forward. Again, Cory Liseno, thank you so much. See you next time.